other two will be able to join us. Katie, are there any other logistics that would be helpful for you to go over?
I suppose not.
Yeah, I'm assuming not. So Katie, jump in.
I'm sorry, I was muted and talking to myself. A good reminder that if nobody's responding to you, it probably means you haven't unmuted yourself. So thank you. No, there's it looks like everybody got themselves muted, and you can also chat in questions if you want to do it that way.
And typically, kind of Katie is monitoring those questions, so Katie, jump in if there's something that needs to get shared verbally. So.
Sounds good. And I also have this recording, so if there are folks from your organization or if there's other people who couldn't attend, we will have this recorded.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Well, great to kind of see all of you online today. And happy that we can make this available for you as either a follow-on or an initial viewing of the Hunger Genius data site. And we are recording it, and so we'll be able to share it out and have some more engagement around that if that would be helpful. So really, I'm going to hand it off to Jason and let him walk through the demonstration. I will be viewing it again, and then we'll have time for Q&A either at the end, or if you want to jump in with a question either by typing it in or unmuting yourself, feel free. It's going to be a fairly informal group setting today.
Sounds good. So I'll take it from there. So I'm Jason Reed. See Kathy and Catherine, we've met before. Cheryl, I'm not sure if you and I have met previously. So I will, for your benefit, kind of go through a few slides as to what is Hunger Genius and how did we get here. But so I'm Jason Reed. I'm Director of Strategy and New Ventures for Second Harvest Heartland. So I'll walk you through a few slides, and then I'll walk you through the site as to how it works together as well. So let me get to my PowerPoint here. So this kind of started a few years ago in 2012 when we worked with a firm called Boston Consulting Group to build a new data tool called Community Close-Up. And the thought was a lot of data that we have in the hunger relief system is typically at a state level or at a county level. We couldn't find a whole lot of data sort of below that in terms of getting down to cities or zip codes or doing things on a Senate district level or things like that. So this was an attempt to sort of pull everything together into one place. This is data based on need, so data on how many food insecure people exist in each neighborhood or zip code. How many meals are they missing every year, also pulling together demographic data from the census, and then pulling together the meal supply data. And what that means is supply of meals to meet the hunger relief needs from SNAP, from the emergency food system, from school breakfast, and from other areas that we utilize to meet the hunger need in our areas. So it was meant to sort of do all of that, pull all that together, build some nice maps with it, and it was sort of a new tool for us to use to fight hunger in our state. So that was part of the Hunger Free Minnesota campaign to do that. So we got a good feedback on that particular tool. I think agency partners like yours saw good value in the data, good value in the maps. I still get requests for it sort of several years later, but a fair bit of shortcomings too. Felt very overwhelming, I think, in terms of the amount of information that was given for it. So it's tough to understand the critical insights, what are the relationships between data points. The mapping was also challenging. It kind of required you to download Google Earth and be able to use that. So it was some expertise required to be able to use the maps. So complicated was kind of the word that was come across to us from the agency. So I think bottom line, we need to create greater value for this type of data. We need a better user experience overall. So from there, I think in looking at the 2.0 version of what this is how do we sort of make this more intuitive for each user? How do we drive users to the most important data insights? and then how can we sort of help them sort of drive sort of good decision making sort of with the data that's there. And one of the biggest requests we got was it would be helpful if users could pick their own service areas versus our 1.0 version where we sort of assigned various neighborhoods to you based on a radius of several miles of a typical food shelf. So instead of us sort of pre-assigning that to you, we're trying to build a tool where you can select what your service area is because we know it's dynamic between organizations. So so all of that kind of put together was kind of a three-step approach. We took this sort of data, we got some funding from General Mills to make this better, put a decoder on it essentially, which is an analytics engine on top of that that'll help to make this more understandable, and then that sort of together sort of is what Hunger Genius is. It's sort of an intelligence product essentially for you that's tailored to hunger relief organizations. So, so from here, just quickly, this was sort of the 1.0 data. You probably have seen some of this before, so it's a little complicated. So this is what it was. So I always like to show that because people kind of laugh about it, but going forward, we tried to make this simpler, and a few different ways that we've done that is, one, we've created a color-coded scoring system, so bringing sort of the different data points together, we've tried to code things in a sort of red, yellow, green format and a 0 to 100 scale. So, and this is a way basically, and not to focus too much on the number score itself, but to really say like reds and yellows are areas of focus, green is good, but in terms of your focus and where to make improvements or investments or things like that, or to at least identify where the need is. Reds and yellows are the sort of places to go. So you'll kind of see this sort of bear out in just a little bit, but that's kind of where the focus should be. So, and then second is we tried to compile things also into some composite scorings too. So basically this is an example of a program participation score where we kind of take the participation rates of different food, or food resources from SNAP or from emergency food, etc. Again, everything colored sort of red, yellow, green, and pulling that together to an overall, composite score of what program participation is in whatever service area that you select. So that's really kind of the list of a couple of fast things. And then when we get into the tool itself here, it lets you sort of self-select your service area. You'll have everything kind of pulled together into dashboards of metrics, and then it also kind of gives you sort of more data, more raw data, if you're interested in terms of how a lot of key metrics that underpin a lot of the scores that are there too. So with that, that's just a really fast review, just so you're sort of familiar with what's sort of in there and why this thing was built in the first place. So, so this is the tool. So it's hungergenius.com. That's the website here. So it's in a beta form is what we call it, so meaning it's in an introductory testing phase at the moment, but the site itself is live. So basically you log in and we'll have sent you an activation code. If you don't have an activation code, I know Catherine does. I think I've sent one to Kathy previously, although I can resend it to you, and Cheryl, I will send it to you after this call. You'll be able to get an activation code and be able to activate your login information to come into the site. So I've already sort of built my own sort of login, of course, so let me log in myself, and that way you can see what it looks like on the inside. So basically, when you log in for the first time, it sends you to this screen, which is, it forces you into a place where you have to pick what your service area is, right? So you click Choose Service Area, and then what it allows you to do is actually you can have up to 10 service areas. So the reason we allow you to do that is sometimes you want to focus on a few different neighborhoods. Sometimes, if you want to focus on a county level because you've got a funder that only focuses on a county level, things like that. So it enables you to pick, different types of service areas based on what's appropriate for whatever task you're trying to achieve. So in this case, I'll create one for Anoka County, and I'll just say, I know this is going to be in zip codes. This is just for my own edification. And then you're able to choose your geography type here. So you can choose cities, census tracts, which are neighborhoods, counties, zip codes, congressional districts, House districts, and Senate. So House and Senate are state House and state Senate districts, by the way. So I'll pick zip codes sort of being the place that I want to focus on first, okay? So then you create your service area. And what will happen is a map, and this is a zip code map because I selected zip codes. These are all the zip codes in the state of Minnesota, okay? So depending on where your service area is, you'll know approximately where. You can zoom in on the map, and then you're able to sort of pick whatever zip codes are most appropriate to you. So in this case, you'll see here, like, as you scroll over different areas, the zip code number appears. And if you want to scroll on like really far, you can see as you get close here, there are street names here and things like that. So you're able to kind of pick which areas are most appropriate for your area sort of too. So I'll zoom out a little bit. I'll pick some of the sort of areas in Anoka County that I know are sort of there as well. So I'm just kind of pick a bunch of these here, just so you get the idea. So that's roughly Anoka County, I think. And then you save it here. And so then it will appear on the map. Just a second. Is it renders? Okay, yes, there. So anyway, so I picked those particular areas. So what will happen is because you've picked those areas, the data within the tool will automatically sort of restrict itself to those areas only. So that way the data is all relevant to you, and it sort of forces it sort of down that pathway. So from here you click to your sort of dashboard essentially. So when it first comes up, it's totally blank. There's no sort of nothing in here at the moment. So you just click this box and to add data. And what comes up is a whole bunch of different types of data measures that you can select to add to your dashboard, because right now, so you see the dashboard is totally blank, so you can decide what goes in here into your dashboard. So as I mentioned before, there are a few composite scores like the hunger impact score, there's a need score, there's a meal supply score, things like that. And then it goes into a lot of other stuff about program participation, food insecurity score. It goes into all the meal programs like SNAP and school lunch and school breakfast and WIC and summer and all that type of stuff too. It also goes into program participation rates. So these ones are meal supplies, like how many meals are being distributed or allocated based on those programs. These ones are actually how many people are participating in this program versus how many are eligible for it too. So all of that is also here. And it also includes a lot of demographic factors too. Things like median household income, how many folks are renters versus owners. Obviously, if you're a renter, you're more likely to be food insecure than if you're an owner. Unemployment, obviously, that's a big driver of food insecurity. How many children are living with single parents? So that's in here as well. Different ethnicities, how many are foreign born, were born in the United States. How many are not U.S. citizens, things like that, as well as, yeah, sort of different racial and ethnic groups too. So basically, when you look at these, you can scroll your mouse sort of over it, and it gives you a little description as to what it is. And then if it's relevant to you, then you can add it. So I'm going to add just this one, and we'll add just a few of these just so you can kind of see a little sample of different types of metrics here. So I'll add that one, and then school lunch and median income, and then just a couple others here, just so we're can see a different variety of different stuff too. So it looks like Asians seem to be the highest in this particular area, so we'll add them too. So so then you go back to your dashboard, and then it populates those ones that you just selected on here. So again, you choose what's most important to you, and if for example, you want to reorder this stuff, you can click Edit, and you can move these things over here. So if food insecurity is your top one, then that can go over here too. So I can see the button suddenly was missing. So these are the little sort of bugs here. I think that we also need your help. There are a few bugs in the tool. So as you see them, please email them to me because I think that would be helpful. So that way we can get those things fixed. Because it says box order updated, but really this button is supposed to be here instead. So anyway, just discovered that sort of now. So that gives you sort of all the data. So within here, so you see each of these is built. It's called a widget, where it gives you the score, gives you a quick description, and then it also gives you a few relevant metrics that help make up this particular score. And then if you go inside the score, then it gives you more information, which is neat. So here, like, it gives you the description of what it is, and then it also gives you a heat map here of that particular information. So, so this is the food insecurity score. It's all sort of heat map for you. So the map will show up at a statewide level like this first. I'll show you how to make it zoom in on its own. But basically, I'll just have to zoom in on my own here just so you can get a little closer. But it gives you a heat map. As you scroll over each area, the box in the upper right-hand corner here, that gray box, gives you the information, like the food insecurity score. Here's how many people are food insecure, their food insecurity rate, their number of missing meals, etc. And as you scroll over different areas, the numbers change, all relevant to that particular area with which your mouse is sitting over. What you can also do is you can click Show Score Labels here, where if the score will appear on top of each one very simply. So that way you can export it to a PNG file, which is just a basic picture file. So if you want to use it for a presentation or things like that, it can do that for you too. So, and if you want to look at things not just a score, but look at here's how many people are food insecure, that map pops up for you, and here's how many people are food insecure for each area. Here's the food insecurity rate. I'm not able to put a percentage sign in there. That's I guess a flaw within the mapping software. So 9 means 9%. That was the best I could do. So, but anyway, so that's what that means. I'm unfortunately not able to add a percentage sign. And then missing meals here. So again, the heat map changes each time you click on something new. And then then you can decide sort of what's most appropriate for you too. So the other part here that you can do as well with the map is you can add your own data to place on top of the maps here too. So here you click Add Data, and it takes you to the My Data slide here, and you can add up to 5 different data sets here. So this is it's a little tricky, but it's actually not terribly complicated. What you do is you download this template. So we've kind of created a nice little template for you. I'll save it here, and then I'll open it so that you can see what it looks like. So just a second while it uploads here. So within the template, this just gives you a sense of what's included in it. But basically, you can add in address information, and that will allow the map software to plot a point. So if it's a food shelf or where a client lives, or all your local donors or whatever, all of that is here. So you just put a name in, whatever you want. It could be Joe Smith, it could be number 1, it can be client number 1, whatever, you can identify it or de-identify it, your choice. And then you add those things in here, as well as the street address, city, state, zip, first straightforward. And the last part it asks for you is for a latitude and longitude. So that's not something you'll have typically on hand. So what we've done for you is there's a free service with which you can geocode your information, and that is here. So basically in here, you just add in your address, information. So I'm just going to copy paste. Hopefully that'll just appear. So this is the address of Second Harvest Heartland here. So all of that is there, and then you just press geocode, and then it gives you the latitude and longitude data right here. So all of that is there for you to use. But basically, so I will just add in a data set I've already created here. So this will be Anoka County clients, let's say. So you can choose your file. I've created one already for this. And then it's all filled out, and then I'll just press continue. So it sends the data to the map for you. Just waiting here, perfect. Great, so let me go back to my sort of dashboard, and then here. So because you've plotted all these points, now it'll appear on the map itself. So now see all these purple dots here are appearing essentially on the map itself, and the map you see auto-zoomed to where the points are too. So that makes it a little easier for you to not have to keep zooming in each time. If you add a point or two within it, that allows you to do it. But the benefit of this, obviously, we've worked with a few food shelves in the western or eastern metro, and they've been able to see where their clients come from and see maybe what their true service area is versus what they may think it is, and then they're able to also to work together to figure out sort of who might best sort of serve what neighborhoods, or how might they work together to serve particular neighborhoods in need too. So those are just more practical applications, but this gives you the opportunity to add whatever information is most relevant to you within the tool too. So that's that, and just very fast, I think here, so that's kind of the mapping function. You can also make this full screen as well, so things like that are also available too if you want to look at more broad, types of data and information as well. Here are all the score labels again on top of that. And then beyond here, there's also a lot of relevant metrics that are associated with the score that's up here. So so all of that is here. So if you want to see kind of statistics of need, missing meals score, things like that, or here are the things that go into that in terms of unemployment and how many people are below 200% of the poverty level, things like that. You can click on this and then it takes you to that particular data point as well. And then it maps it all for you. Assuming this will render itself in just a minute here, and then all the data points also appear down here as well. So there it goes. Yeah, I was a little nervous there, but now it's working. So that's basically the tool in a very fast way. And I know we only have like a half hour to chat, but this is kind of gives you at least a sense of what the tool is all about and the value it can bring, and kind of what you can do sort of within it too. So we've tried to build this in a way that's friendly and user-friendly. It takes a little more effort to add data points, but beyond that, I think it's been a sort of a very effective thing to pull together as well. The last thing I will say here too, it also lets you export data here as well. So if you're interested in the data behind what makes up all of this here, you can export a CSV file. So I've clicked on these zip codes. And then from there, you can export all the information below it. So assuming this will open up here in a second. So it pops up for you, sort of here all the zip codes I clicked on, and here's all the data that's relevant for unemployment here as well. So that way you have the raw data should you want to actually use it for any other purpose, neighborhood by neighborhood too. So I've been talking for about 20-some minutes here, so I'll stop here. Any questions, any thoughts, comments? So kind of welcome this, and I would just say I'm looking sort of for your ability to test this. Tell me what you think of it. What would make it better from a user experience portfolio? If you see any bugs, let me know that too. There are bound to be a few in here, but I think overall it seems to be functioning very well, but there are probably a few little things that will appear that I may not see by myself, so I would appreciate it if you see anything like that, let me know that too. So I'll stop here and entertain any thoughts and questions.
Jason, a couple questions that have come in. Cheryl wants to know what is the source of data and will it update?
Mm-hmm. Great question. Yeah, so data comes from different sources depending on where it's coming from. So the census data obviously comes from the census. That comes from the American Community Survey. That's the 5-year survey. The data that's in here is 2013 data. So currently I think the latest available is 2014 on the 5-year at the moment. So it's a year behind at the moment. And so that's one. The need data, the food insecurity data, that's all sort of 2013 data as well. Again, a year behind what we have, the latest information. And then all the meal supply data is also 2013 too. So all of that is there currently. So in terms of updates, yeah, in fact, I would probably appreciate your feedback as to how often you think would be appropriate for us to update it. We could do it every year, could do it every couple of years. Obviously, there's some, a fair bit of work and expenses that go into that, but depending on what's most valuable to you, we'll try to work on that and figure out sort of what's the best update platform. But it doesn't happen every month. It is currently the data that's in here is updated on a yearly basis.
Great. Daisy has joined us from ECHO and would like to know, do we need the longitude and latitude? She has a lot of data, 3,500 households.
Sure.
Or maybe even, I was wondering with that batch geocode, is there a way of, can you input multiple and have it spit out?
Yes, so that's right. So within here, yeah, I think this particular service, yeah, you can input, I don't know, I mean, I've inputted like 400 of them once, and it outputted all of those latitude and longitude. So yeah, so this thing seems, I mean, it's free, and it's really relatively straightforward. So yes, this can do, should be able to do all of that too. So if you have any trouble with this, then you can contact me directly, and I can help walk you through that and help you make sure that you get the right geocode information in there.
Great. Is there a good way to print the dashboard or maps?
Okay, great question. The maps you can, yes. That one in particular, there is a function here, and it's rendering, but you can export a picture of it from here too. So that's one button you can use to sort of get the map quickly as well. But it only so right now the tool only exports sort of this map, sort of this size of map. If you're wanting to do a bigger full screen, this type of thing. Honestly, the best way to do it is to use the button print screen on your keyboard, and then you can crop it to your desire for any presentations you might have too. So that's that. In terms of the data, so it gives you access to the raw data and things like that. It doesn't have a print function just for this, but if that's something you'd like, I'm certain that could be done as well, or maybe we could do one with data and maps, in one print function. That's something I'd have to ask our developers about, but if that's something that would add value to you, I'd be happy to inquire with our developers to see how we can get that done.
Great. And then Daisy's also wondering if we'll have access to these instructions or this webinar for later use. I am recording the webinar, Daisy, so you'll be able to watch the beginning part again and share that with anybody else. I don't know, Jason, do you have any instructions or anything like that?
There's been no sort of prior written instruction for this, no, but I think I think this webinar is probably is a great sort of tool, because I think you need to kind of see it visually in terms of how it works versus me writing a more text-driven instruction. So I think this webinar would serve very well to do that.
Great.
I do have one other kind of question or comment that actually Cheryl brought it up, but thinking about it a little bit more. Does it explicitly say anywhere on this, like, what the current information is from, what year, and where the source is? Because it just seems like that could be a question that comes up from multiple people, and so to be able to really have it, yeah, maybe you have it somewhere.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So you're right. So no, it's not sort of readily available, but maybe like in this area I could write at, it seems to be plenty of room here. So it could be added in here in terms of, so that kind of what the data points are and where exactly they come from. That could be added as descriptions, I think, here too. So yes, so that's something we could add to it if that would be valuable for everyone.
Yeah, I just think that if folks are using this out in the community, they might want to be able to kind of explicitly say, like, this is where the data has come from, if people are asking additional questions.
Yeah, that's very reasonable and perfectly appropriate. So that's something I think we can add to the descriptors here as well. So yes.
Any other questions?
I'm not seeing any other typed in questions here, but if anybody does have other questions, feel free to let us know.
Okay. So thank you all for joining us, either for kind of a refresher or for the first time. And we'll be sharing the recording back out to you via email. And then just a reminder that if it's possible, it would be great to have feedback to Jason by June 24th about kind of additional items that would be helpful, or questions that you have, or if there's any bugs, things like that. That would be really great feedback for us to continue to work on enhancing the tool. Anything else on your end, Jason?
No, I think that's it. So thanks so much for staying a couple minutes late here. Much appreciated.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye now.